Hey there, so welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about the demand flexibility service on the 23rd of January 2023. And we're going to talk about why it's happening today, what there is about it. So if you're not familiar with the DMS, then I'll let you know what it's about, and we'll talk about how we can get the most benefit from it, what we can do to help the country the most. So first of all, Monday the 23rd of January 2023, between 5 and 6 p.m, we're being asked to reduce our energy usage, and we're going to get rewarded for that if we are with a supplier that is participating in this DMS. It was trialled in 2022. This is a kind of a further trial. It's not fully rolled out across the whole country yet, across all of the suppliers, so it's still in its infancy. But if you have been notified and invited to take part on the 23rd of January, then you're in the trial. You're in for some reward if you are participating in it this evening. So it's between 5 and 6 p.m. So basically, is what the situation is that the National Grid are predicting that on the 23rd in the evening, the demand is going to potentially outstrip supply for electricity. It'll probably just be getting very, very close. No expected blackouts, nothing to worry about, but they're trying out this demand flexibility service to see if us consumers can reduce the amount of electricity we're using and receive a financial benefit for doing so. And that will benefit the whole country, because that means that there won't be any rolling blackouts. We won't have to shut anything down unexpectedly this evening. So those of us in the trial, well, it depends on your electricity supplier. If they have opted in and they've gone through the process of opting in, then if you are a customer with one of these companies, you will have been invited. If you've got a Generation 2 smart meter that's in full working order, basically, you don't need to supply meter readings manually. It will all be done through your smart meter. So let's talk about why it's happening this evening. Well, first of all, it's a Monday, and things are expected to break on Mondays. Simple answer to that is that they've been switched off over the weekend, and when things are fired up on a Monday, things often do break. Anyone that works in power stations or whatever will know that when you're firing up after a few days rest, they don't always fire up quite as anticipated. There's sometimes delays, so that's part of the reason. Biggest reason though is the weather. So last night, Sunday night into Monday, it was incredibly cold in the southeast of England. It seems strange, but Scotland actually had quite a mild night. But the big population centre of the UK is around, the middle England, down into the south, into the southeast. That's where most people in the UK live who use electricity, and that's where it's the coldest at the moment. On a Monday morning, it is very frosty outside. It's very cold. It's not as foggy as was anticipated. Fog, of course, is part of the problem because it blocks out the sun, keeps temperatures suppressed really low throughout the day. I'm sure there are some areas in the southeast that are covered in fog this morning. Where I live, I'm not, and the temperatures where they are covered in fog will remain at or below zero potentially all day. And of course that gives us, we're going to use more electricity. We're going to have our lights switched on more, for example, and electricity used for central heating, things like that, and electrical heating will be in higher demand when it's particularly cold. So that's part of the reason. There are, of course, low winds in the south and southeast, and to the east of the UK is particularly low winds at the moment, and that's where most of our offshore wind generation is situated. And obviously offshore wind generation needs wind to generate electricity, so low winds there mean that they're not generating as much as would normally be the case. Last week we had high winds, loads of generation. This week, low winds, low generation, and we don't have any storage. Or there might be a little bit of storage for wind generation, but it's not a major thing at the moment, is it? So until we get proper storage for our excess wind energy generated, then we're going to have this when the winds drop. So, and France also is particularly cold at the moment. Not quite as cold as the southeast of England, but southern middle France is particularly cold, and we do import some of our electricity from France when we've got peak demand. But we're anticipating that this evening we won't get as much from France as we might like to get, so we're going to do something about it as a country ourselves by putting this demand flexibility service into action. So what we need to do, well, if you've got a smart meter, you don't really need to do anything. You need to have opted in to this evening's trial. Not all suppliers are into it, so if you've not heard anything from your supplier, you've not been invited, then you're not in it this evening, but you can still cut your usage between 5 and 6. You're just not going to get any financial benefit for cutting your usage, but you can still be part of the drive to make this work. And you need to have a working smart meter. So basically your smart meter will be exporting your meter readings every half hour or every hour, and your supplier knows how much you typically use between 5 and 6 on a Monday evening, and if you manage to use less this evening between 5 and 6 and you're part of the trial, then there's some sort of financial reward on the table for you. So that's what it's all about. So to reduce your usage, so if you are in this, well, in fact, first of all, if you're not in this, you've not been invited by a supplier, don't phone them up, because call wait times can be ridiculous with some suppliers, but do drop them a message. Say, hey, what's this demand flexibility service? I've got a smart meter, I'd like to be part of this. And if they're not signed up, that might, if enough people send them a message like that, that might prompt them to sign up. So that would be a good thing to do. If you're not been invited into this. So basically, if you are in this, then heating water is one of the largest users of electricity. So that could be immersion heaters, your dishwasher, washing machines, things like that. So between 5 and 6 this evening, if you would typically switch one of those things on, then don't this evening, delay it. I'm sure any one of us can delay switching on those things, or maybe switch them on earlier before the 5 o'clock mark, or very easy to delay, switch it on a bit later. So between 5 and 6, typically that's when most households are, getting in from work, getting in, the kids are home from school, TVs are switched on, and people are taking showers. If you've got an electric vehicle, you might be tempted to plug it in as soon as you pull up on your driveway. Just, this evening is an opportunity to not do those things. Another big user of electricity is cooking. Think about when you have a cooker installed, it has to have a big thick copper cable installed to service that cooker. Same as like an electric shower, for example. So things like that obviously do draw a big chunk of electricity in bursts. They don't, if you have your cooker on for an hour, it's not drawing maximum power for a whole hour. But between 5 and 6 this evening, are there ways that you could not switch your cooker on? Could you maybe have cooked your meals earlier and reheat them? Could you delay cooking until after 6 p.m? I know we certainly could in our household. 6 p.m. is not that late, is it? And we could delay switching the cooker on until after 6 p.m. quite comfortably. And that's what we would certainly be doing this evening. In fact, we're actually going out for dinner this evening, so it's an easy one for us, but there you go. And heating your home, of course, a lot of homes in the UK use electric. If it's something really efficient like a ground source or an air source heat pump, then you can switch it off. If you've got one of those things, you've probably got a very well insulated home. Switching it off for an hour, it ain't going to make a huge difference to the comfort level in your home. What we do need to just be very careful of, though, is if you live in a poorly insulated home and you switch off your electric heating, you're going to notice it within seconds almost. You're going to notice it. So this is not worth freezing over. The financial rewards are not that huge. It's not worth putting your health at risk. But if you can switch your heating off and you've got a well insulated home and you're not going to notice the difference too much, then maybe tonight is the a woolly jumper. It's winter. I wear a woolly jumper in my home in the winter. I dress for winter in the winter, and I dress for summer in the summer. I don't find it that difficult to do. If you don't typically walk around with a woolly jumper on, then maybe tonight's the night to stick a woolly jumper on if you rely on electricity for your heating. Even if you rely on gas for your heating, of course, there is an electric pump that's pumping the hot water around those radiators. So you could switch your gas central heating off as well if you feel comfortable doing that. And between 5 and 6, it's only a short period of time. If you're well insulated, you're not going to notice too much of a drop in your temperature. So that's what the demand flexibility service is about. Let us know if you're taking part. If you are taking part and you've got some tips to share, let me know, and we can come and make a video in your home if you really want to. You can easily contact me through the messages, and we can do that. So thanks for watching. If you have been, drop us a comment below. Let us know how you have responded to the demand flexibility service, and we look forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks for your time.